Welcome back to the Section YY8 podcast. It's a bye week for the Vols, but not for us, right, Harb?
Grind don't stop, hustle don't quit.
Grind never stops. Always on the grind, right, Austin Hayes? You think he's listening?
No,
He's not.
no, he's not.
I'll text him and tell him I mentioned him and see if he'll listen.
He'll listen then.
I'll text him after we're done.
Yeah.
Because Hayes and I always have to grind when we're playing golf in a twosome. I'm just going to move on before it gets any worse, what I just said.
The two of y'all grind together.
It's about me and Hayes grinding together in a twosome. Whoa! All right,
Tennessee twosome.
the Tennessee twosome. I like it. Tennessee two step.
Anyway,
Harb, I'm in full Cubs gear. It was not a good day on Saturday for my Cubbies, but they're in the NLDS. Unfortunately, you and I were both hoping that Cubs and Red Sox would keep going and face each other in the World Series, but the Red Sox came up short to the Yankees very quickly. How do you feel after that? I know it's not good, but tell everybody else how you feel.
pain and sorrow and all the other things. But there's just not a whole lot you can expect when you kind of limp into the playoffs like we did. A month before the playoffs started, we are squarely in. Didn't have any. We were kind of in the same boat as you. Weren't going to catch Toronto, but we was in, and then all of a sudden, like, really had to buckle down the last week and a half. And then you get a best of three series with your arch nemesis, the best rivalry in sports, in my opinion. Uh, and you win game one, and then you just lay an absolute egg in the second two games. That hurts more than just getting your brains bit in the first two games, in my opinion. Um, which we did start a rookie. I think it was his fifth start ever. The shit, it was rookie on rookie crime.
Yeah,
Yankees started a rookie, and honestly, Connolly early pitched incredibly.
that was crazy how, I mean, both of them pitched well, but how good that kid pitched for the Yankees. I mean, he was out of his mind.
You know what's funny? The whole season, like outside of uh, Garrett Crochet and a lot of Lucas Giolito's outings and Bello, like pitching was kind of the downfall of the team. And then you get to the playoffs and you can't hit for squat and your defense sucks. And I don't know, it's just kind of funny. I think Jaron Duran played his last game for the Red Sox. He went out sad. Had two critical errors in games two and three. I think Bregman's gone. It's up to this ownership to see if they want to actually win or just fall into it every 3 or 4 years. I'm leaning towards the latter, unfortunately, which for a franchise like Boston is just completely unacceptable in my opinion. But is what it is. It's the first time I got to really feel playoff baseball in 4 years. It was nice to be back, even though it lasted 3 days. And just kind of is what it is. I think the future's bright. I think Connolly Early is going to be a very good starting pitcher for years to come. I think he pitched better than what he got in far as stats. I think his ERA for the game was like 7.8 or 7.4 or something like that. And he just pitched so much better than that. But
That's funny you say that you got to feel playoff baseball. Past few years the Cubs haven't really been competitive or in the playoff hunt, so I've kind of just watched them, but like, oh well. And then even this year, I was like, yeah, they might make the playoffs. I don't think they're serious contenders to win the World Series. Maybe they are, and I just don't see it. But I was, oh well. Well, they won game one versus San Diego the other night. I was like, man, they win one more, they're moving on. What's going on? Then they lost that second one, but game three, I'm sitting here on. I got home. I ran home from work. Game started at 5:08. I'm like on the edge of the couch for 9 straight innings. Like I was back in the mode I was in 2016. When they were in the World Series, I was like all summer long because they were the best team in baseball in 2016 all year. And in that playoff run, I was like every pitch was like life or death. And it kind of got like that again the other night for me, but I didn't get to watch much of yesterday's game because we were up at the farm working, but I took a break right at 2 o'clock and sat down and watched the first inning. Michael Bush homered. We're up, Cubs are up 1-0. And then the Brewers come up and they get like 3 or 4 straight doubles on like 7 pitches to start the game. And it's just imploded. I think the Cubs spent so much energy in that game on Wednesday against San Diego to beat them that they had the 1 day off, but then they started Matthew Boyd, which I see Craig Counsell's logic behind it, but I also don't get it. I mean, if it was a 3 game series, yes, but this is a 5 game series. You're going to get him at some point, unless he's trying to get back to him again. I didn't like it, but they also don't have, once you get past Jamison Tyone, Imanaga, and Boyd, they don't have much with Justin. If they had Justin Steele, this team would be legit, I think, NLCS contenders, but he's out with Tommy John, so they don't have him. But I don't know. They were off today. They played tomorrow night late at Milwaukee, so we'll see if they can bounce back. They need to win one up there. They don't need to go back to Chicago down 2-0 with an elimination game on the line on Tuesday night. So we'll see. Vols were off this week. There was a few SEC games. We'll get to those here in a moment in our power rankings. But Vols were off. No damage done this week. It seems like they're getting healthier. Reports are coming out that Jermod McCoy will be back. Um, Dalton Hood on the defensive line should be back. Moy was back last week at Mississippi State. Things are looking up health wise for Tennessee. I don't think Ricky Gibson's going to be back. It just keeps sounding like he's done for the year, but it sounds like the Vols are getting healthy and it's at a right time of the year to get healthy. You've had one of your 2 buys. Now it's time to get back to work. And Tennessee's got a tough stretch coming up. Arkansas at home, at Alabama, at Kentucky, and then Oklahoma is the next 4 games. Kentucky's bad, we know that, but don't ever take anything for granted when you go on the road in this conference. But first up in this 4 game stretch is the Arkansas Razorbacks. They let go of their head coach, Sam Pittman. He's got all the time in the world now to drink a cold beer. And they brought back Bobby Petrino. We talked about that last week. He's cleaned house with the coaching staff. He's basically, it's like they hired a new coach and he's just changed all of his assistant coaches. So I'm not sure what to expect out of Arkansas this weekend. They're really good offensively. I was looking up some stats earlier, Harb. They rank scoring offense, passing offense, third down conversions. They're really good. But defensively, they're about as bad as it gets. They're most defensive categories, they're in the 100s. Rushing defense, passing defense, scoring defense, third down conversion. I'll put this on the screen. Arkansas third down conversion defense. They're giving up third down conversions 47.7% of the time. That's 125th in college football. Tennessee, conversely, on third downs offensively, is converting third downs 53.1% of the time. They were actually much better than this, but the Mississippi State game, they went 5 out of 14 on third down conversions. But they're 16th in America in converting third downs. And that's just one stat to go along. But all that being said, Arkansas is pretty good offensively. They can score some points, they can move the football up and down the field. They are atrocious on defense. And Tennessee's what, 13 and a half, 14 and a half point favorites, 82% chance to win on FPI matchup predictor. What do we think about this game coming up?
I have a question for you. What do you think the total is set at for this game? I just looked at it. What do you think it's set at?
Well, the Mississippi State game was what, 62 and a half, I think, at one point. I'm going to say this one's probably around that same mark, 60, 61, 62.
It's 69 and a half.
Wow. Nice.
Nice and a half.
Nice and a half.
That's a lot.
That's a ton of points.
And
That's
that just
basically both teams scoring 35.
that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
But that pretty much tells me that Tennessee's going to hang a 50 burger.
Tennessee is, I was looking up too. You know, you and I talked last week on here, like Tennessee, it didn't look like they played that poorly on defense, or it looked like they played poorly on defense. They kind of didn't because of the short fields they had to defend. But they're kind of like middle of the pack nationally defensive. I think total defense they rank like 76. I'll look it up here while you're talking, but it's like Tennessee's not great defensively, but they're not bad, and they're really good, if not elite offensively. But Arkansas is really good, if not elite offensively, but they're terrible defensively. Do you think that changes with Petrino taking the helm?
See, that is the wild card. We don't know what's going to happen because it's funny if you've kept up with the situation. Petrino set up a coup,
He did.
and uh, Brandon Walker with Barstool, I heard him talking about it earlier this week. It's pretty funny. He's like, Sam Pittman's the nicest guy of all time. He's like, oh, Bobby Petrino used to coach here. Come in here and help me fix this offense. Bobby's like, oh, yeah, Sam, don't worry about it. You know, old buddy, old pal. And Sam gets fired. Petrino becomes interim head coach and immediately fires three defensive assistants. Like you were just an assistant and you just fired three of your colleagues the day after. Now, did they deserve to get fired? Probably, based on job performance, or at least based on player execution and whatnot. Probably, but that's an insane move, and the Petrino thing's gonna go one of two ways. It's gonna be really good or really bad, and I just don't know if a whole lot changes. Uh, Obviously, it depends a lot on how the players view Petrino versus how they viewed Pittman. But I do know one thing going into our game this weekend. Notre Dame's defense compared to last year is not near as good as it was. I think everybody can agree on that, correct?
I
And Notre
do.
Dame's defense last year was a probably top five defense in the country. It's still pretty good. It's not great. Well, this electrifying offense you're talking about scored 13 points against Notre Dame, and like I said, they have a pretty good defense. It's probably better than ours. A little. I don't know about statistics wise.
I'll look him up real quick.
Yeah, but
They're not in the top 50.
Notre Dame's isn't.
I don't see him
Well,
unless I missed him.
that's even funnier because Arkansas has put up these numbers against. Let's see here.
Oh,
They scored
wow.
52. They scored 52 against Alabama A&M, 56 against Arkansas State. They did put up 35 against Ole Miss. Scored 31 against Arkansas or against Memphis, 13 against Notre Dame. I would say out of those five teams, Tennessee has the first or second best defense out of that crew.
So I looked it up here while you were talking. Tennessee's number 76 in total defense, which is yards allowed. Notre Dame's 78. I'm trying to look up scoring defense. Notre Dame is number 70 in the country, allowing 23.6 points per game.
That's a better stat to look at.
Yeah, Tennessee's not very good here. I've looked this up earlier. We are number 102, allowing 29 points per game. But Arkansas is even worse. They're 109, giving up 30 points per game.
With the competition they've played.
Yes.
which the Notre Dame game inflated that number just a hair, but give up 32 to Memphis, 41 to Ole Miss, 14 to Arkansas, 7 to Alabama A&M.
Man, there's 134 teams in Division One in FBS. Um, Kent State being the worst at number 134, allowing 44 a game, which is what they allowed yesterday to OU.
Sounds like
But
an average game.
yeah, just right on cue. But yeah, I think this is a battle of, you know, two offenses that statistically, I know Arkansas didn't play very well against Notre Dame, but statistically, Arkansas is very good offensively. So is Tennessee. Tennessee's a little better. But defensively, Tennessee is much better than Arkansas. So can Tennessee capitalize on the just terrible, statistically terrible Arkansas defense? I think Arkansas, I read, was giving up like 199 yards a game on the ground. Tennessee averages about 165 on the ground. I think Tennessee wants to run the football. We know that. That's established, and I think they'll look to do it again. But can Joey Aguilar have him one of those days again? He had a pretty good one against Mississippi State last week.
So I'll
And
put it to
their
you.
defense isn't great, although they looked pretty good against Texas A&M there for a little bit last night, but that's a different story. But
I'll put it to you this way. Ole Miss ran for 221 yards against Arkansas on 37 carries, 6 yards a carry, and they threw for 305 yards, resulting in 41 points. If my phone will cooperate, why is this not working? Notre Dame ran for 210 yards on 40 carries, 5.3 per carry, and they threw for 431 on 24 of 32 passing. I'm going to be honest with you. I think we're thinking too hard about this game. I think most people are. Their defense is god awful. We can run it down their throat. We have a quarterback that can absolutely light up the secondary. And I think our defense is better than what we get credit for. And hopefully we get two starters back, which is a game changer.
it's
Especially
big.
for Taylor Green, if he gets a little bit of pressure on him, instead of just having Hood on one side, you got Hood and Jamal McCoy. It's so
Yeah.
different. And if you want a two-leg parlay for the weekend, I'd take Tennessee on the points and the under. And there's still that revenge factor from last year. There's a lot of guys on this team that was there last year, and including Heupel, obviously, and the coaching staff. Um, that crowd's going to be fired up. I mean, we haven't had a home game in what, 3 weeks?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the fans will be ready to roll. The coaching staff's going to have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. The players that were there last year are going to, and we're just better than them. We can run it down our throat. We can throw it all over them. Serve it up on a platter. Where do you want it? It just,
It is what it is.
yeah. And there's going to be people in the national media that overthink this game too. They're going to be like, "Oh, Bobby Petrino, he's coming back. He's got a lot of fire underneath Arkansas. Taylor Green, blah blah blah. Tennessee's defense. Ooh, whoa." Don't overthink this. This, in my opinion, has like 48-20 written all over it. 48-17, somewhere in that general region. And I just don't think I think it's not as close as the score makes it look like. I think I score late, dress it up a little bit.
Where Answer a couple of questions for me, Hard.
Okay.
Where is this game being played at?
Knoxville.
How many games has Tennessee lost the last, what is it, 4 years at home.
Dude.
That's all you need to know. And it's going to be loud. We're we're wanting revenge from last year. Um, I was looking here. Arkansas is just statistically better, barely statistically better than UAB. Look what we did to them. They're just barely statistically better than Syracuse. Look what we did to them. You're right.
You know what's crazy? Them and UAB have had similar opponents.
Yeah, they have. Look at their
UAB,
schedules.
UAB's played Alabama State, Navy, Akron, Tennessee, Army. I mean, maybe
And
X,
Arkansas's played Arkansas State,
maybe
Notre
X
Dame, and Ole Miss.
here
But
right there, but
um, you're right. I mean, I'm not overthinking the game. I'm asking questions, obviously for the sake of the show and what people may be thinking out there. But I'm like you. I mean, just the eye test. I've seen Tennessee in person at home and on the road and on TV. I haven't watched a lot of Arkansas. I've watched some highlights of them. I mean, they just got a lot of issues. And we said before the season that, they were one of our bottom 4 or 5 teams in this conference. And, Taylor Green, I think, is a decent quarterback, and he's put up some good numbers. And, there for a little bit, you and I were talking about moving him up, but they blew a game to Memphis. They had a chance to give themselves a chance to beat Ole Miss and couldn't find a way. And it's like last week against Notre Dame at home, they just fell flat on their face, and it was the end of the line for Sam Pittman. And I just don't think they've got the horses. And now with that Tennessee does, and now with Tennessee getting Hood and McCoy back possibly, hopefully this week, it just bolsters. Yeah, Tennessee's been really good rushing the quarterback this year. Tackles for loss, and that's one thing we do give Tim Banks a lot of grief a lot, but his defenses while he's been here has been very good at TFLs and sacks. And they're at it again this year. They had 5 against Mississippi State last week. They were all up in Stetson Bennett's face a few weeks ago, but I think Tennessee's defense is just better than Arkansas's, and Arkansas is probably going to score some points, but I think we score more because Arkansas is so bad defensively. It's kind of crazy to think, they've got better players than UAB and Syracuse and Kent State, but they're just fractionally better than them in every area on the defensive side of the football. So give me the Vols. If it's 13 or 14 and a half, give me the Vols. I'm taking them. I think they win. It's going to be hopefully a nice day on campus. Weather was looking a little iffy there a few days ago, but now it looks like it's going to be mid 70s, sunny. Big Montana said it might be quarter zip weather. Getting the second half, it's going to be dark. Might get a little chilly in there. We'll see, but it should be a great day of football on Saturday.
yeah. And just piggybacking off what you said, I could look like an idiot. Like this just screams one of those games where you kind of put your foot down and say, "Y'all are down here, we're up here." And hope you had fun last year. Or we got a better quarterback now that doesn't run out of bounds as time expires. Uh, while I'm on that topic, what the hell?
Yeah, what happened with that? I didn't get to watch any of that, but I kept seeing the score pop up. UCLA over Penn State. What in the world?
It's actually pretty genius on James Franklin's part. Like this is actually, in my opinion, like a chess versus checkers high IQ level moment. Everybody's always talking about how James Franklin can't win the big one, can't win marquee matchups. Well, when you get beat by a winless UCLA team, everybody stops talking about the big one. So that's no longer an issue. And now it's just about trying to win the little ones. So maybe this was just a minor setback for a major comeback in James
Mhm.
Franklin's mind to make their next win against whoever the hell they play. look even better because they overcome the adversity of losing to a team like UCLA.
Good for Nico. What a game.
Played well.
I saw my uncle sent me an article today, or maybe it was John, that there's a columnist for USA Today. I'll try to retweet it or repost it. That basically was arguing that Nico needs to transfer to Texas and basically do like get out of UCLA and go to Texas. I can't imagine him leaving the left coast.
He will
I can
not.
imagine him leaving UCLA, but I can't imagine him leaving the West Coast.
I can.
I mean, I guess if the money was right, I can, but wasn't that one of the reasons he moved back out there is because he was homesick? If I
Yeah.
mean, why go to UCLA is my question. But we don't need to talk about this. We're wasting oxygen, Harbin.
No, but while we're talking about James Franklin,
Okay.
a horrible, horrible defensive plan. Because Nico's back there running for his life, and they ran all over him. How do you not put a spy on him?
You know what? He also,
Because he only threw for what 140 yards or something like that.
it wasn't a ton. He rushed for quite a bit, but
He threw for under 170. He had more rushing yards than he had
yeah.
passing.
James Franklin, this is hater and loser mentality. But he was blaming the travel. They didn't prep well for the travel and all that. So I was like, well, too bad. You're in a conference who decided to expand and poach teams from 3 time zones away. What did you expect was going to happen? Duke didn't have a problem with it going to California last night.
I do agree with
I
him
mean,
on
I get it, but
it. Is
that's not my problem.
yeah, I have a crazy idea. How about we take schools that are relatively geographically colonized and we base conferences off of that? So, for instance, like let's take like UCLA and USC and Oregon, but also pair them up with Oregon State, Washington, Washington State, Arizona, Arizona State,
Wow.
Cal, Stanford. And since they're on the Pacific Coast, we can get 12 of them and we can call it the Pac 12. How crazy is that?
That's, I think you might be on to something, Harbin.
But UCLA and USC ruined that for everybody, and then Oregon and Washington did what they literally had to do.
I mean, they had to.
Yeah.
Dude, I saw where, and I don't want to, go on and on about this, but I saw Oregon State, who's still in the Pac-12, and there's only two of them. They lost to Appalachian State last night. I mean, like, how do you go from being in the Pac-12 and you basically were left behind, left for dead? Like, long term, how does their athletics department stay relevant? Because they're basically a mid-major. They're in a mid-major conference now. They're trying to recruit, especially for basketball and baseball. They're trying to recruit other teams, and that's a different animal in itself. But football is totally different. Like those two schools have been almost left for dead out there, and I don't know how they keep. I mean, I think Washington's more equipped to keep going than Oregon State, but man, that's like I don't know how if you're the AD or the chancellor or the president of those schools, like if I'm the board, I'm calling for their heads because you let the other everybody else in the conference is gone, but you. Why did we get left out? But
I think the
topic.
Pac 12 is going to make a massive resurgence. And with NIL and the current state of college athletics, I think there's going to be a lot of money dumped into it
And I'm
to
I'm interested
bring
to
it
see who
back.
they get. I mean, a
Well, they've
lot.
already said, I think next year they're going to have six. It's going to be the six pack.
The Pac Six. When I was growing up, it was the Pac 8, and then it went to the Pac 10. So all my life, I knew it as Pac 10 basically. And then when it went to Pac 12, that was so weird to me.
So for the academic year of 2026, 2027, The Pac-12 conference will be adding 4 teams from the Mountain West Conference: Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, and San Diego State. A lot of state, all 6 of them will be states.
Looks like Utah State's in here too. In 26-27, this says 5 members: Boise, Colorado State, Fresno State, Utah State, San Diego State.
It
Ooh.
says these 4 schools, along with the remaining universities of Oregon State and Washington State, will form the new 8-team football conference.
Ooh, they're getting Texas State as well. Powerhouse.
They're on the come up. So there's going to be
Gonzaga's joining them in basketball. They're leaving the West Coast Conference.
telling you,
Interesting. Something to keep an eye on.
I'm here for the 8-pack.
The 8-pack. I like it.
Right now,
Yeah, looking forward to being back in G10 and Neyland Stadium on Saturday. It's been a few weeks. Like I said, we were off this week. Me and Patrick and Griff went down to Starkville last weekend, so looking forward to being at home for 1 week, and then we're back on the road for 2. And I'm not sure if I'm going to Bama or not. That's still trying to figure that stuff out. So,
so
anyways,
speaking of Arkansas and being back in G10 and all the fun festivities that go with that, Arkansas was off this past week. Their coach is gone. Sometimes in life you have to take 2 steps backwards to go a couple steps forward.
it's a good country song. One
Absolutely.
step forward and 2 steps back.
Right. Where do you have Arkansas in your power rankings for this week?
Great segue, Harv. So I'll go through mine. I told you before we started, there's not a whole lot of changes in mine. There were no changes 1 through 8. So if you remember my 1 through 8 last week, you know who my 1 through 8 are. The only real changes I made were 9 through 12 and 13 and 14 and 15. So really only made changes to 7 spots. I've still got Kentucky at 16. They fought their hearts out, but they're just not very good. Lost at Georgia. I dropped to Arkansas to 15. They're idle, but they're a mess. They're a train wreck right now. I dropped South Carolina. They didn't play either. I still don't think they're very good, even though they beat up on shoot, who did they play couple weeks ago, Harb? Who did they
Uh,
beat at home last week?
Kentucky.
Oh, Kentucky. So I've got them at 14. I moved Florida up to just 13, and I want to explain why. There's probably a lot of people that may think they need to be higher. Harb may have them higher. I haven't. Harb hasn't revealed his power rankings to me, but it's 1 game. They've been awful through 5, and they've had 1 good game against a not very good Texas team. Now, Texas is very good defensively, so is Florida. Um, and they made Arch Manning look. Of course, Arch Manning's not very good right now, but I've got Florida at 13. I don't believe it. Like they got to put a stretch together before I move them up. It was 1 game against a team that's reeling and it's got its own big issues, and they were playing on the road. You have your hand up.
I do. I have a question to you.
Okay.
You said that Florida is really bad,
Yes.
and you said that Texas is very good defensively. DJ Lagway, 21 of 28, 2 touchdowns, 298 yards.
It looked like that Heisman candidate everybody kept talking about in the preseason.
Only one of these can be true.
We'll see. Prove it to me, DJ. They're at 13. I dropped Mississippi State down to 12. Did not look good against Texas A&M. Of course, nobody's looked good against Texas A&M offensively, but was a little disappointed in how they played. I thought they would play. I didn't think they would win, but I thought they would play a little bit better with A&M last night, and they did for a half. But everything unraveled in the second half, and they were just bad offensively. Didn't run a lot of plays, turning the football over. Just their offensive line's not very good, which we saw last week in Starkville, but got State at 12. I've dropped Texas from 9 to 11. I might drop them even further after they play OU this weekend. I think they're getting ready. Of course, usually when you think this, the opposite happens, but I think they're getting ready to get pounded in the Red River shootout this weekend. But I've got them in at 11. I moved Auburn up to 10, even though they were idle. I just think Auburn's better than Texas and Mississippi State, even though they didn't play this week and they've got issues of their own. But I think they're better than those two teams. So they're up to 10. Missouri was also idle this week. I moved them up to 9. I think they're better than those other three teams, Auburn, Mississippi State, and Texas. Again, I want them to prove it to me against somebody other than UMass and South Carolina and whoever else they've played that nobody knows about. I don't know who they play this weekend. I think it's Bama. Here we go. Show me something. You're in the show me state. Show me something, Missouri. Like I mentioned, my top eight were the same. LSU's at 8. I kept Vandy at 7. They showed me something. I mean, their numbers passing the football weren't great, but they had some fight in them, and they hung around with Bama there for a while. They kind of, lost it there at the end, but I hate to say that Vandy kind of proved me wrong a little bit. They're a little bit better than I want to think they are. I don't think they're good enough to beat these top 4, 5, or 6 teams, but they're going to win some more football games this year. I haven't looked at the rest of their schedule, but that game in Knoxville on Thanksgiving weekend, if both teams play out like they are right now, that could be a big game at the end of the season for the first time in a very long time. Kept Georgia at 6. They beat Kentucky pretty badly this weekend. I didn't get to watch any of that game. Kept Bama at 5. I, they're much better than they were against Florida State at the start of the season. That's obvious. I think they've still got some issues on the offensive line. Ty Simpson was running around all over the place, but Ty Simpson's playing well. I think they're playing pretty well right now, but we'll see. Again, I know Vanderbilt's better than they have been, but um, I think the jury's still out on Alabama a little bit, but they have turned the corner. I think they're playing much better. Still got Tennessee at 4. We were off this week. We've talked about them. I'm interested to see how they come out this week off the bye week. Like we mentioned earlier, this is a game coming up for Tennessee where they need to come out, put their foot down, and prove that they're a top 5 or 6 program in this conference. Let's not mess around. Let's not have to grind this out or go to overtime. Let's come out, take care of business, and move on and get ready for the third Saturday in October. I kept A&M at 3, but they impressed me last night. Their defense is outstanding. The offense kind of woke up in the second half. They struggled in the first half, but Marcel Reed played fantastic in the second half. If they would open up their offense a little more, they could be a legit contender for the SEC title and to make a run in the playoffs. We'll see how their offense continues to evolve, but if they can get an offense consistently to go along with that defense, watch out. They're good. OU beat Kent State 44-0. This is without John Mateer. Pretty dominant effort. I know you kind of dropped them down because they didn't have Mateer, but they're still playing pretty well without him. I know it was against Kent State, but they've got Texas this week at the Cotton Bowl. We'll see how they do there. I think they'll beat up on Texas a little bit. And I still got Ole Miss at 1. They were also off. They host Washington State this Saturday in Oxford. So that is my top 16. Harbin, what do you got?
So, you and I were discussing before we started recording that I believe there are 3 tiers in the SEC currently. I think 12 through 16 is a tier. I think 7 through 11 is a tier, and then there's the 1 through 6. Not a whole lot of movement at the bottom. Kentucky at 16. Like you said, they played good for them against Georgia. They're still bad. Arkansas's a dumpster fire. I think we're going to prove that even more this weekend. 14, I've got South Carolina. And a lot of teams didn't play this weekend, so there's not going to be a ton of movement.
Right.
Uh, 13, I've got Texas. Idle from last week because I called my shot.
You did.
It's hard out here on a pimp. It's hard being right all the time. At 12, I've still got Florida. I've still got Florida there. I just think that was a battle of two teams that aren't very good.
I agree.
It just is what it is. I agreed with you when you said that, but I think Texas was extremely overhyped, and if they don't get something going soon, it could unravel quickly. But I do think they have enough talent on their roster to where I believe they play Oklahoma this weekend in the Red River Shootout. If Mateer doesn't play, that's a very winnable game for Texas. Hell, Texas is favored, which is
Really? I haven't looked that up. That's crazy.
favored by 2.5, and ESPN's matchup indicator gives them a 61% chance to win.
I'm kind of soured on the matchup predictor FPI, and I'll talk about it here when you're done. Sorry, go ahead.
But that game could get weird. Mateer's not going to be back. You know he's going to want to be, but he's not going to be. They could shoot up in the power rankings if they beat them. Not towards the top if Mateer doesn't play, but it's a very winnable game for Texas. There's a lot of parity in the SEC this year. Um, anyway, 12, I've got Florida. 11, I've still got Auburn. They're idle. They didn't play this week. At 10, I've dropped Mississippi State down.
Mm.
I still think Mississippi State's pretty good. A&M's just kick ass. Like they're really good. I think between them and probably Oklahoma, those are the two best defenses in the conference.
They're good.
I'm not putting a whole I'm not putting a whole lot of ill will towards Mississippi State for losing. Like you said, first half they hung around. Second half kind of unraveled, but they are ahead of schedule in their rebuild. And for some reason, I'm not gonna say I kind of like them, but got a semi emotional attachment towards them. That coach I've got's a man. I like him. Anywho, at 9 I've got LSU. I don't think they moved at all. No, they went up a couple spots.
Went up a little.
They also didn't play. At 8 I've got Vandy. They did show me a little bit, but also they're in the category of finally played a team that's worth a flip. And we saw how that went. They did hang around. Pavia didn't have a great game throwing the ball. They were able to move the ball on the ground, which is a little bit more surprising to me. Vandy's just pretty solid. Just is what it is. At 7, I've got Missouri. I think they're at the top of the middle tier in the SEC. They're also in that category of not really played anybody. Them and Vandy are interchangeable. We're going to learn a lot about them next week. And I don't know if I'm calling it, but it's a major trap game for Alabama this weekend. Big time trap game. Everybody,
And you love a good trap game.
I love a good trap game. Everybody's extremely high on Alabama. They're looking better week to week. Missouri hadn't played anybody. Games at 11 a.m. in Como. There's just weird vibes there. Just Caleb Underwood. Well, let's get
weird.
Alabama's only favored by 3.5. I like looking at lines. They tell you a lot of the story before the game starts. Be on the lookout for that game. Missouri money line plus money is a little tasty. And at 6, right now I've got Oklahoma, and I think they're higher than this. But just with Mateer being out, like if all these teams played against each other tomorrow, I've got Oklahoma in the bottom of the top tier. Did their backup quarterback look good against Kent State? Sure. It's Kent State. They're horrendous. Um, Alcoa could probably beat Kent State. But I do think Oklahoma's better than 6, but it's kind of, I was joking last week when I put Oklahoma at 9. Uh, I got, like, Mateer's got to be back before I put him there. Their defense is awesome. I think I think they've got a solid squad in general. But until he comes back and he looks like he did before, they're still at 6 for me. And at 5, I've got Ole Miss. I believe they stayed idle.
You had them at 4 last week.
That
Mm-hmm.
Ole Miss also didn't play. Um, they're looking good. Trinidad Chambliss, he's solid, which is funny because he is looking much better than Austin Simmons. Looks like they've kind of found something there. They just keep squeaking by, which I guess is classic Lane Kiffin. But this upcoming week, they have Washington State. Or no, yes, this upcoming week they have Washington State, and then after that they go to Sanford to play Georgia. So for now, I've got Ole Miss. What number I'm on? 4.
4.
At 4, I'm gonna. I don't know where I had Tennessee last week, but I'm putting Tennessee at 4.
You had Tennessee at 3 last week.
I'm dropping them one spot during their bye week. Uh, we can score with anybody. We won on the road, which is good to see. We've got Arkansas, and then we get Bama. You're gonna learn a lot, and that's the funny thing. Like we're in what, week 6 now?
Yes.
We're in week 6 of the college football season. Or actually, we're heading into week 7, and we're still talking about learning things about these teams. I feel like this is one of the weirder years in college football as far as SEC goes, or really across the country, about who's good and who's not. Because across the country, you've got Ohio State looks like a legit contender. Miami's a legit contender. I want to say Oregon is. But Penn State just lost to UCLA, so who knows? And then the SEC, you've got like 7 teams that could make the playoff. And then you've also got your weird teams like SMU, Indiana. Like, are they actually good enough to win it? They could be this year.
Maybe.
Could be. And at 3, I'm putting Georgia, knocking them down a spot. The more I watch them, the more I think we really miss an opportunity.
Yeah.
Which we miss an opportunity either way, but I still think they're good. I still think they're a playoff team. I just don't think they've got it like they have in years past. Now, if they just keep squeaking by and win, and they end up going to the national championship game and winning or losing, and it's like, we overreacted to Kirby having a damn mental block when the Crimson came in. I don't know. But I got them at 3. At 2, I've got Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M is very legit. Between them and Oklahoma, like I said earlier, it's 2 best defenses in the country. Or in the conference. Probably giving the nod to A&M. They got a mobile quarterback. They've got playmakers. They can stop the run. They can shut the pass down. this is a team to legit keep an eye on, and for value purposes, it's
Yeah.
probably the best bang for your buck on national championship future.
And look real quick before you get, and I think we know who number one is by process of elimination. But look at Texas A&M's remaining schedule: Florida at home, at LSU, at Missouri, at home versus South Carolina and Samford, and then they finish the season at Texas. I I don't see them losing to Missouri, South Carolina, or Samford or Arkansas. They should beat Florida.
I think 10-2 is your floor there.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think they're a playoff team. I think a 10-2 A&M team definitely gets in.
Especially if they lose to an LSU or a Missouri type. Like they're not going to drop very much.
Well, especially if Notre Dame wins out because it makes that win look even
Right,
better.
exactly.
You know, um, I think they're legit. I really do. And at one, obviously, I've got Bama. Um, as far as across the conference goes, I guess they had the best win of the week. You can make an argument for Florida, but
I think it's 1A, 1B with those two.
I just think Vandy's better than Texas.
Vandy's better than Vandy would beat Texas if they played.
Well, we will find that out on November 1st at noon.
Ooh, they do play, don't they?
Yes.
So
So,
this
depending where your
weekend,
mouth is.
so this weekend, it looks to me like the game of the week is Alabama at Missouri. On paper, it's at noon. You've got Alabama at Missouri. You mentioned Alabama's -3.5. You've got Washington State, who I said Washington earlier, but it's Washington State that's in the Pac-2. They're at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is 32.5 point favorites. Oklahoma's at Texas. You mentioned that one earlier. They're at the Cotton Bowl. Arkansas is at Tennessee. That line right now on ESPN Bet is 12.5. Florida at Texas A&M. A&M is -8.5 currently. That's a 7 p.m. kickoff at Kyle Field. Kyle, Georgia at Auburn, the oldest rivalry in the Deep South, or the
I
Deep
think that
South's oldest rivalry.
I think that could end up being game of the week.
Right now, Georgia's just 3.5 point favorites. That game is at 7:30 on ABC, and then the nightcap SEC Network. South Carolina at LSU, 7:45. LSU -9.5. Looks like Kentucky is off. It looks like
Based on name
Vandy.
recognition, I mean the Red River, that's game of the week. And that game's gonna get hairy. Because both those teams obviously are gonna get up for that game. Texas is, if they're any good whatsoever, they're going to have the red ass after they just lost to a reeling Florida team. And Oklahoma, 99% is going to have a backup quarterback starting their biggest game of the year. There's a lot that could go sideways in that game.
Um, what do you think?
But
The
the
most.
biggest thing to look at, sorry, I don't mean to
Oh, you're
cut you off. The
fine.
biggest thing to look at is Arch Manning is Texas's leading rusher on the season.
That's not good.
That's really bad.
That's not good at all.
And we can make fun of Arch Manning all he wants. If you can't run the football, that does not make
Yeah,
quarterback's life any easier.
yeah. I watched a little bit of that game yesterday when we got done with our labor up there at the farm, and every time I looked up, Arch Manning was having to scramble for his life. His footwork was all over the place because it's like he's hearing footsteps in his head. I don't think his offensive line is very good at all, and that's contributing to his poor play. I'm not saying it's all their fault, but that's contributing. They can't run the football. That's not helping. They're just a mess right now on that side of the football. Um, Yeah, I don't. If they lose this game, they might spiral out of control. Maybe they don't, but I mean, that's loss number three. They were supposed to be national championship contender, which there's been a lot of teams in the preseason top 10 that have fallen flat on their face, which is another reason you shouldn't have preseason polls. They should start out with no numbers by their name. You can have all the preseason rankings you want, but officially don't start with anything. Let it play out for a month and then start ranking them. But they're never going to do that because that doesn't sell things. Harb, what do you think? This is on Vivid Seats. What do you think the cheapest ticket is this weekend, and what do you think the most expensive ticket is this weekend around the SEC?
As far as get in price across the conference,
Yes, this is the low ticket price according to Vivid Seats, which is linked up here on ESPN.com.
I would have to assume. Let me get back to the slate. I would have to assume that Ole Miss Washington State is the cheapest ticket.
You would be correct. $52.
And I would also have to assume that I'm going to say Oklahoma, Texas is the most expensive.
Correct. $319.
And then
Uh,
number two would probably be Georgia, Auburn.
yes, barely number two. They're at 219. Tennessee, Arkansas is at 214. Second lowest is South Carolina at LSU, 63 American dollars to get in Tiger Stadium.
For a night game at LSU?
That's what it says. This is tickets as low as $63 through Vivid Seats.
Wow.
Florida at A&M is $165. Alabama at Missouri, 182. Now I was helping somebody look up ticket prices today, and I think it was section X5 in Neyland Stadium on StubHub's going for 360 is the lowest right now. 360 a piece. Plus
Gotten,
fees. Plus fees.
gotten absolutely ridiculous.
I wonder what section Z11. I wonder what mine and Big Montana seats are going for. Let's look and see real quick. So,
Hell, I could have bought a house with if I would have sold my Georgia tickets.
yeah, a lot of us could. Think about, I think we talked about this, but think about resale on tickets next year, Harb, with our home schedule. And
Oh, it's going to be.
we haven't even talked about that, and I don't know that we've got time.
If people don't have season tickets, it's good luck
Yeah,
next.
good luck. Let's see. Lowest get-in price in section Z11 this weekend. Row 53 is $284 a piece. According to StubHub, that's an amazing deal. Trying to see, I'm in row 31. Here's Z11, row 31, 309 a piece. Maybe Big Montana should, we should sell our tickets and sit at the truck and watch it on the TV and drink chocolate milk.
Yeah, no kidding.
Jeez. Well, anyways, like I said, we haven't even talked. I think it's something we can talk about down the road, especially when they announce the game times. We haven't even talked, Harb, about Tennessee's home schedule next year. I mean, I think we can here briefly. I'd worked on a graphic for it, and we can pull it up here quickly, but very quickly, what's your thoughts on our home schedule next year?
It's absurd. It's electric. I know we've got Bama, LSU, Texas, Kentucky, and there's one more conference game, right?
Yeah, home, we've got obviously nine conference games. SEC's gone to nine. So next year at home, we've got Bama, Auburn, Kentucky, LSU, and Texas.
All
On the
right.
road at Arkansas, South Carolina, A&M, and Vandy. I have already booked us rooms in Spartanburg, South Carolina for that game. And I've already reserved the top 10 shower for you. So you're set.
Oh, don't disrespect it. It's top five.
Oh, top five. I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah, I've
don't
already
disrespect
reserved it for you. So you're all set. You don't have to do a thing except get in the car and drive over.
it. Good. Perfect. Wonderful.
No, next year, and the reason I wanted to talk about this briefly, and I'll put the graphic up on the screen for everybody to see, but I've done this year, next year, and the next four seasons opponents. Harb, next year is going to be exciting. I know it's a tough home schedule with Texas, LSU, Kentucky, Auburn, Alabama. Two games in particular for me. LSU, I've got a lot of family in LSU. They've already said they're coming up. That's going to be a big weekend. LSU here in Neyland Stadium. Those people are awesome. Not just my family, but the LSU people are awesome. I'm sure my little cousins are going to get to come up and experience Neyland Stadium for the first time. So that should be fun. But the big one, Harb, is going to be that Auburn game. The Phi Mu sorority alumni will be here in droves. So
Oh
I don't
no.
know where, and that's what we got to figure out. We don't know where we're going to be parking next year. Where's the JWTDG tailgate going to be? Because they are starting on the entertainment district next to G10 after the season. So it takes half of the garage. Are we kicked out? Where do we go if we are? So this is a big off season coming up, but that Auburn game, I know my family's excited about it. Reagan is super pumped. All of her friends from Auburn, most of them I think are planning on coming up here for that game. So it's going to be a huge weekend, Harbin. One of the biggest ever.
Ask anyone.
Just looking at the other seasons in 27, we host Florida, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Vandy. That's the weird thing about next year, no Georgia, no Florida. That's just super odd to me.
And we play Arkansas 3 years in a row.
Yes. Well, I mean, we used to play Arkansas every year, but we also used to play Auburn every year back before expansion. Let's see, in 27, we're on the road at Bama, Georgia, Kentucky, Missouri, OU. In 28, Bama's back here. They'll be here every year. Arkansas, Kentucky, South Carolina. A&M comes back to Knoxville in 28. On the road, this is going to be an expensive year for me, Harb. If I make it to 2028, I better start saving money. At Auburn, at LSU, at Texas, at Vandy. So I got to go to Texas. It's my next to last one of my last two SEC stadiums I've not been to. I will go to LSU and I'll probably go to Auburn. So I better start taking my lunch to work with me. And then in 29 at home, Georgia, Missouri, OU, Vandy. On the road at Bama, at Florida, at Kentucky, Mississippi State, and Ole Miss. Go to Mississippi twice. And I have to wait all the way to 2029 to knock my last stadium off the list at Vaught Hemingway Stadium. So, and we should get times for next year sometime in the next month or so, I think. They usually put it out in late October or November. So they'll announce the date, not the times, but they'll announce the date that these games are on. So, big, huge home slate next year. It's crazy. I never would have thought that we would have Alabama, Auburn, LSU, and Texas in Neyland Stadium in the same season.
That is pretty insane.
It's wild. So I know we complained that this year's home schedule was kind of weak, but it's going to be made up for next year. I know our buddy Walker never listens to this show, but he complains all the time about Tennessee don't play nobody. They don't schedule no non-conference games. I was like, we play in the SEC. You don't need to schedule these tough non-conference games. I know we have to play a P4 school. Don't schedule anybody else. You play the best in the country when you get into conference play. But next year, I was like, buddy, you got what you wanted. But those 5 teams coming to town, except for Kentucky. So let's say 4 teams coming to town. Watch out. All right, Harvey, you got anything else? What else we got here?
Do we have haters and losers?
Do you have one? I don't know if I've got one, which is shocking with as much stupidity as there is out there.
I mean, I've got a few. I think we've already touched most of it, though. Brett Stanton wants me to name the Boston Red Sox as my hater and capital L losers because every once in a while he's a Yankees fan.
Oh, of course he is.
Right. Yeah. So there you go, Brett. There's your.
Yankees, LeBron, NWO. Come on, Brett.
So there's your 15 seconds. I'll make mine James Franklin. I know we already covered it, and I'll make it quick. Uh, that's just ridiculous. Like just straight up ridiculous. I mean, Ole Miss could. I mean, Ole Miss shit. UCLA couldn't play dead in the Western, and that's just inexcusable. It is the epitome of a hangover game, I suppose. But the biggest thing is you bitch about the travel. Didn't affect Oregon.
Nope.
Oregon travels the most as far as air miles in the country this year. Um, yeah, he's always been a hater and a loser. He's a pretty good coach, but just a really funny weekend for the people that try to defend him as a top five coach in the country. He's not. He never has been. He's still got that Vandy in him.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So yeah, James
I've got
Franklin.
I got one. It just
Okay.
hit me. The Arizona Cardinals.
Oh,
They're not
yeah,
really haters, they're just losers.
that was bad.
Played the Tennessee Titans today. I took Arizona in my survivor pool, so I'm out. They lose to the just they're so bad Tennessee Titans. 22 to 21. They were up 21 to 3 in the second quarter. They were up 21 to 6 in the fourth quarter, and I can't remember this guy's name, running back, broke off
Uh,
a huge, what's his name?
he's
Starts with an M.
no, it's Demarcado
Okay.
last name.
So, yeah, DeMarcado, however you say it, breaks off a long run and is walking into the end zone and decides to drop the ball before he crosses the goal line. The Titans get the ball back. It's a touchback. They go back down and score. Arizona can't do anything again offensively. The Titans go back down, score again. Arizona again can't do anything with the football. Titans get the ball back, go down, kick a game-winning field goal, beat Arizona. Just that the Titans are one of the most pathetic teams I've ever seen. That's the most Titans game I watched this year, and I had it on the four screen on YouTube. And I honestly wasn't paying much attention to it until that fumble by the Arizona running back. But just a terrible loss for Arizona. I don't know how you come back from that. I know they're pro football players, they'll figure it out, but I'm eliminated from my survivor pool because of that. They were like 11 or 12-point favorites. This crazy that they lost that game, but Arizona Cardinals are my haters and losers of the week. And yours is James Franklin. Two great nominees. Two great haters and losers. So there you go.
There's,
Harb.
there's always vast options. Ever
Oh,
since.
there's always a ton of options. Well, Harb, big weekend this week. Big week this week for me, at least. The Cubs are playing. Hopefully they can find a way to advance to the championship series. We'll see. They play Monday night, and then they're off on Tuesday, and they're back at Wrigley on Wednesday night. So we'll see how that goes. Tennessee and Arkansas this weekend. We'll be back in G10 sometime mid to late morning, setting up, ready to tailgate. If you're in the area, come on by, say hey to us. Maybe I'll give you a sticker and a koozie. And let's see what else. You got anything hard before we go? I don't.
No, just happy to be back in Neyland after our sabbatical. Um, JWTGG.
Yes. Yeah,
Put Bobby
tennis.
Petrino back in a neck brace.
Tennessee jumped up to 12th in the AP and coaches poll. After the state game I mentioned earlier, I have kind of like soured on the ESPN FPI, we dropped after the state game from 9 to 14. Well, we moved up to, I think it was 11 this week. And which is probably about right. But why did we drop so much after state? I don't know. But that FPI is all over the place. But um, Tennessee needs to win this weekend. I think they need to look good doing it. They can't slip up before they go to Alabama. They just cannot slip up this weekend. If they want to be taken seriously in the SEC nationally, they have to win this game this weekend. I think they need to look good doing it. I think they need to put up a little style points. And I'm not, I'm happy if we win, but they need to look good doing it this weekend. It's time to start getting your ducks in a row and playing good football because it's getting serious time. And, trip on the road next week to a place we haven't won at since 2003. And that team seems to be playing better. So it's time to get your ducks in a row and get this thing going. So we'll see. I'm excited to be back like you, Harb, in Neyland Stadium this weekend. And looking forward to some great weather, great food, and hopefully seeing everybody. Appreciate everybody listening to the podcast. Numbers are starting to creep back up just a little bit. So thank you guys for listening. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Or you can subscribe if you don't want to watch us on YouTube and just want to listen. You can subscribe to Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, or just search us on the internet and you'll find us. So appreciate you doing that. Be sure to like and subscribe, like I said, on YouTube. Leave us some comments. We don't get many comments on there. Leave us a comment. Tell us you like us, you hate us, or tell us why you think our power rankings are wrong or right. Maybe you think they're right. Maybe you want to make fun of me and Harb. I don't know. Just say
Make your own
something.
list.
Yeah, make your own list if you don't like it.
Yeah.
Harb's getting ready. Got a big golf tournament coming up with our buddy Jake here soon, so they're prepping for that.
Sure do. That's the week after the Alabama game down in Mobile.
And lastly, for me, shout out to the Carter Hornets. We had a big TV game Friday night against the Fulton Falcons. Hornets big winners 49-6. Was never really close. Press box was wild. A lot of people in that. We have one of the smallest press boxes I've ever seen at Carter. And we had Rivalry Thursday on one side, Fulton TV/radio on the other side, and then all of us in the middle for the good guys. But nice win for the Hornets. They're 5-2 on the season. They're off this Friday. It's fall break. It was homecoming on Friday night. So that was big night for me. I was busy. A lot of announcing, a lot of talking. And so they're off this week. They're back at home for the home finale, regular season finale next Friday, and 2 Fridays against the Austin East Roadrunners. And then they're on the road to finish the season at Alcoa and at Gibbs. That Gibbs game is going to be a big one. So shout out to the Hornets. Playing some good football right now. 5-2.
Shout out to them.
And it was homecoming.
I was about to say homecoming dub.
Homecoming dub. The kids were excited about the homecoming dance up at the gym after the game or the cafeteria. Well, they don't still do that, do they? They used to have the homecoming dance when we were in high school after the game, but I don't think they do that anymore.
They didn't do that when I was in school.
Shows you how old I am, Harb.
Old man.
All right. Everybody, appreciate you listening. Go Cubs. Go Vols. Sorry about your Red Sox, Harb. Maybe next year.
Is what it
I
is.
don't think the Cubs are too far behind you. So, anyways, appreciate y'all listening. We'll see you guys next week on the Section YY8 podcast.